Subeb, Plateau State, very well represented. Thank you very much for coming. We have, of course, our directors from the Federal Ministry of Education. I see Mrs. Liman. The others will recognize you as time goes on. We have our executive secretaries here. We have Muna representing UNICEF. Welcome. My dear friend Kate from the EU. You're very well welcome. And AFTRA, the Africa Regulatory Agency for Teachers in Africa, is very well represented here by the Secretary General, Dr. Christian Adaipoku from Ghana. Please, a round of applause for him. And the Executive Secretary of AFRA, our very own Professor Steve Wokocha, you're welcome. And the President of AFTRA, actually, is Professor Josiah Ajiboye. A round of applause. And he's the Executive Secretary of TRCN. So he's doubling. He's wearing two hats this morning. A very warm welcome to you all. We will start very shortly. We just want to have some of our representatives to be here. We're waiting for the Honorable Commissioner for Education of Katsina State, who is in town. I think someone has gone to get her here. And then the other representatives from the Federal Ministry of Education that will be here. I see the head of office of UNESCO out there. So we're just tidying up a few loose ends and we will start shortly. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, still continuing with some of the recognitions. We want to recognize once again the directors and representatives of the directors of the Federal Ministry of Education here present. We will also want to recognize the representatives or heads of agencies, Federal Ministry of Education here present. Participants also from the Federal Ministry of Education, participants from National Commission for UNESCO. I see TRCN Director and Assistant Director there. You're welcome. Lawrence Ugo Ali, Mary Ogbene, our friends in the teaching space. Thank you very much for coming. Permit me to recognize the Honorable Commissioner for Education of Adamawa State, Dr. Umar Garba Pella. Dr. Umar Garba Pella, a round of applause for him, please. He's here with us. Honorable Commissioner of Education, Bayelsa State, is Dr. Gentle Emela, but is represented by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Simon Peter Okene. You're welcome, sir. Honorable Commissioner of Education of Enugu State, Professor Undubweze Mba, is represented by Mr. Ochi Patrick. You're welcome. For Katsina State, we are still waiting for Honorable Zainab M. Musawa. She's on her way, I hear. And then the Honorable Commissioner of Education of Oyo State, Professor Salihu Abdul Wahid Adelabo. A round of applause for him. Thank you, sir, for coming. And the Honorable Commissioner of Education of Plateau State, Honorable Mohammed Yalum. They had to come by road from Plateau yesterday. Thank you very much for coming with your team. Permit me to also recognize the Chairman of State Universal Basic Education Boards, SUBES, of the 6 states here present. Please, a round of applause for all our chairmen. We also recognize all the permanent secretaries from the 6 states that are here present. A warm welcome to you all. Thank you. Do I have a representative of NUT here, Nigeria Union of Teachers? Oh, welcome. Thank you too. Please, a round of applause. We cannot do anything for teachers without it. Please, can you move, sit here by AFTRA? Please, thank you. We can't do anything, teachers, without NUT. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Permit me to also recognize the Secretary General, Nigeria National Commission for UNESCO, Dr. Olagunju Idowu, is our partner. Yes. Can I see him? Yes, please, a round of applause. Thank you. Do we have the representative of the Governors Forum here? The Governors Forum, Head of Education, Dr. Leo Ebenezer, the Great. He's not here. Let me also recognize the presence of staff of UNESCO here present. Staff of UNESCO Office Abuja, you're welcome. Yes, all the sectors are well represented here. I also want to recognize the staff of European Union Delegation. Commissioner. Let's extend a warm welcome to the Honorable Commissioner of Education of Katsina State, I earlier talked about her that she just got appointed, I think this week or last week. A few days ago, she was appointed Honorable Commissioner of Education, Katsina State. I'm sure this is your first official event, so we are highly honored. Welcome, Honorable Zainab M. Musawa. A round of applause for her. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. I would like to inform you that this is a hybrid event. So we have some of our participants online. I don't know, Pressy, is it possible to see those of them that have already joined? In fact, we have one of our speakers there that is going to join. Yes, we have staff of UNESCO, from UNESCO Paris online. We have from ICBA. ICBA is our International Institute for Capacity Building for Teachers in Africa, Addis Ababa. They are online. We have staff of UNESCO from our field offices online. A very warm welcome to you all. Thank you. Permit me to also recognize the Executive Secretary of NCC, Professor Paulinus Chijoke Okwele. Please, thank you very much for coming. Teachers, we can't talk about teachers without NCC here. Do we have NTI here? Not yet. Thank you. I would like to, okay, I have not introduced myself. Yes. I was going to introduce my co-moderator, then I remembered I have not introduced myself. Before I introduce myself, I need to introduce our boss from the UNESCO Dakar office, regional office. They cover Abuja, so he's our big boss, our big Oga at the top. Dr. Dimitri Sanga, he's online, joining us from Dakar. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you. So having done that, I can introduce myself. Standing before you this morning is Magdalene Anene Maido. I work with UNESCO Office Abuja. Thank you. Yes, that's Dimitri. A round of applause for him. And then my co-anchor for this morning is my former colleague, my friend, a writer, my teacher, my hero. My pleasure to introduce Clarice Ujam. Please, Clarice. She will be anchoring this with me. This event is organized by the Federal Ministry of Education, the European Delegation in Nigeria, as well as UNESCO Office Abuja. So you'll be seeing the three faces from time to time. Thank you. Yes. So without further ado, I think we will start officially now with the national anthem, which is also going to be our national prayer. Please, let's rise. Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag You can tell the ages of people from those who can sing the anthem. If you cannot sing it, we know when you were born. If you can sing it, we know you are old school. A warm welcome. I can sing it so you can guess. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Honorable Minister of Education, Professor Tahi Maman, SANON, is represented this morning by Dr. Folake Olatunji David, the Director of Basic Education of the Federal Ministry of Education. Please, a round of applause for her. Thank you very much. The UN Resident Coordinator, Mr. Mohamed Fall, will soon join us. The Head of Office and UNESCO Representative to Nigeria, Mr. Abdurrahman Diallo. You're welcome, sir. My boss. We also have with us the Honorable Commissioners of the 6 states we had mentioned earlier. Honorable Commissioner Education, Adamawa State, Dr. Umar Gaba Pella. Honorable Commissioner of Education of Bayelsa State, Dr. Gentle Emela, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Simon Peter Okene. Honorable Commissioner of Education of Enugu State, Professor Mba, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Ochi Patrick. Honorable Commissioner of Education of Katsina State, Honorable Zainab M. Musawa. Honorable Commissioner of Oyo State, Professor Salihu Abdulwahid Adelabu. Honorable Commissioner of Education of Plateau State, Honorable Mohammed Nyalu. Chairman of State Universal Basic Education Boards here present. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, represented here by Dr. Uba, the Director of Colleges of Education. The Permanent Secretaries of the State Ministries of Education here present. The Head of Human Development, European Union Delegation in Nigeria and ECOWAS, Leila Ben Amor, is here with us. The UNESCO Chief of Section for Teacher Development, Carlos Vargas Tames, is also online. The heads of UN agencies and development partners here present. The Director, UNESCO Institute for Capacity Building in Africa, ICBA, Mr. Quentin Warden, is joining us online. Directors of the Federal Ministry of Education and State Ministries of Education here present. Chief Executives of parastatals, the SG Nigerian National Commission for UNESCO, the President of Africa Federation of Teaching Regulatory Authorities, AFTRA, the Secretary General of AFTRA, the Executive Secretary of AFTRA, the President Nigeria Union of Teachers, representatives of civil society organizations, colleagues of UNESCO and the European Union who have joined us online, and those who are physically here present, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. That is the protocol list. So henceforth, all those who are going to speak, you can stand by it, or stand with it, or refer to it, because I cannot imagine you reading all this. Thank you very much once again for coming. We are here this morning to launch the Education and Youth Empowerment in Nigeria second phase. It's a project that is fully sponsored by the European Union, and is being implemented by UNESCO and in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Education. During the course of this event, we're going to hear a lot about the project, but without further ado, because we don't want to repeat ourselves, it's my pleasure to invite to the podium the Head of Office and UNESCO representative to Nigeria, Mr. Abdurrahman Diallo, to welcome you. Thank you very much, Mr. Diallo.
Thank you very much, Maido, Madam Moderator of the ceremony. Good morning, everybody. Bonjour. Salam alaikum. Honorable Minister of Education, ably represented by Dr. Folake, Director Basic Education. Mr. Mohamed Fall, Resident Coordinator, Nigeria. Welcome. Good morning. Dear representative of the European Union, dear colleague, Mrs. Leila Mathieu Benamor, Head of the Human Development Sector, dear representatives of the states, beneficiaries of these initiatives, the commissioners of Adamawa State, of Bayelsa State, of Enugu State represented, Commissioner of Kasinat State, welcome, Commissioner of Education of Oyo State, welcome to Commissioner of Education of Plateau, welcome, dear representative of the Federal Ministry of Education, all the different agencies, SUBEB, all the permanent secretaries of the state ministries of education, directors of the federal ministries of education and state ministries of education, chief executives of parastatals, president of Africa Federation of Teaching Regulatory Authorities, and the delegation of AFTRA, welcome to you here. President of Nigerian Union of Teachers, representative of civil society organizations, dear Secretary General of National Commission of UNESCO, dear colleagues of the family of UNESCO, I know that online we have the director of the regional office, our director, Mr. Dimitri Sanga, is online, and all the team in headquarters, and the team also in Ethiopia, which hosts our special institute for teachers, the International Institute for Capacity Building, ICBA. Dear colleagues of UNESCO, UN, EU here in Abuja, member of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So Maido, I try to come back again, yes, and to welcome all of you again and to thank you really for your mobilization and for your presence for this ceremony. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome you to this auspicious and historic event as we launch this important project, Education and Youth Empowerment in Nigeria, the second phase, expand, integrate, and strengthen systems to build teachers' capacity and resilience. The project is a joint initiative of the EU and UNESCO to strengthen Nigeria's education system by improving system governance and quality teaching and learning through enhanced teacher education programs and improved teacher resilience. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the 2023 UNESCO Global Report on Teachers with the theme Addressing Teacher Shortage and Transforming the Professions notes that there is a critical shortage of teachers hindering the achievement of SDG 4 and the Education 2030 Agenda. The report stated that 44 million additional teachers are needed globally to achieve universal primary and secondary education by 2030, with sub-Saharan Africa requiring 15 million more teachers. With concerted efforts to promote gender equality and increase enrollment of girls and out-of-school children, there is an urgent need for more teachers to match the increasing enrollment numbers. With teacher shortage, classrooms become overcrowded, teachers overworked and demotivated, and the quality of teaching decreases, especially to the most vulnerable children and those in rural and hard-to-reach areas. Conversely, the profession is not attracting or retaining the best personnel because of the low social standing and poor motivation of teachers. The 2020 first education sector analysis by the federal government of Nigeria in collaboration with UNESCO International Institute for Planning, which assessed the situation of education in the country, and particularly in Oyo State, Adamawa, and Katsina states, reported that at least 20% of teachers in public basic education schools are not qualified to teach, and this number is nearly double in private schools. And based on the 2018 annual school census, the reports add that out of the 64,000 teachers in public early child development education, about 25%, 16,000 of them, do not have any professional training in education, making them unqualified to teach. 2/3 of teachers possess the National Certificate in Education qualification, which is the minimum requirement at this level. Teachers in public primary schools have similar profile, with about 24 having no professional training in education and 6 in 10 holding the National Certificate in Education. In private schools, the share of untrained teachers is higher compared to public schools. More than half of teachers in private ECCD, the early childhood, have no professional training in education. And in junior secondary, 35% of the teachers have no professional training at all, while 26% are underqualified. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these challenges require concerted efforts, and urgently too. If we must meet our national and global commitments to transform lives through education, we cannot achieve equitable, inclusive, and quality education unless we ensure the professional qualification of teachers. The SDG 4 target 4C on teachers calls for the increase of qualified teachers. The African Union's Continental Strategy for Africa, CESA 1625, and Agenda 2063 note that the primary requirement for the achievement of their vision is a well-motivated and qualified teacher who is mandated with the provision of skills, knowledge, and orientation of its citizens for the Africa we want. In the same vein, in the statement of the delegation of Nigeria at the Transforming Education Summit in 2022, it was noted it's almost difficult to have a meaningful conversation around transforming our national education systems without transforming the teaching profession. Accordingly, Nigeria calls for more deliberation on efforts to expand innovations and research on teacher education and the professional development of teachers. So the statement of commitment has been followed by the prime place given to teachers in the National Renewed Hope Agenda for Education, including the system-wide policies to overhaul the education sector captured as DOTS, D-O-T-S, data repository, out-of-school children education, teachers training and development, and skills development and acquisitions. This project is therefore timely as it seeks to address early and frequent loss of skilled teachers to more lucrative professions due to opaque teacher recruitment and deployment policies by strengthening government capacities to assess teaching needs and developing strong evidence-based policies in relation to teacher recruitment, deployment, management, and professional development. Therefore, the specific Objectives of this project are to review, strengthen and implement education policies and programs by addressing teacher shortage and work conditions, reinforce and support individual teacher capacities in service and pre-service by developing an expanded teacher education program with a focus on the resilience on fragile context, and third, build better teacher connection to their students and colleagues in the communities. One lesson we all learned from COVID-19 crisis and its effects in education is that there's no substitute for the teacher. Teachers are the single most influential and powerful force for equity, access, and quality in education. Consequently, teachers must be prepared to respond to emergencies and the fragility of our world. This project will strengthen the capacities of teachers and head teachers with digital and pedagogical skills to ensure continuity of teaching and learning at all times, including in crisis situations. UNESCO, as the lead agencies of SDG 4, globally has proven capacity and technical expertise in education and the network of specialized institutes. These institutes, notably the International Institute of Capacity Building of Teachers in Africa, ICBA, and the Teacher Development Unit at UNESCO headquarters, will support the implementation of this project with the required technical expertise and resources. Ladies and gentlemen, this project holds promises for the future of the teaching profession in Nigeria, and I must therefore appreciate the European for this initiative and the funding provided. Let me also commend the Honorable Minister of Education, whom from the onset embraced this intervention as it aligns with the country's vision for a transformed education sector. Honorable Minister, as I have always stated, UNESCO remains committed to supporting Nigeria in its development in our voyage towards 2030. Let me extend a warm welcome to all the honorable commissioners and their delegation, the commissioner and delegation of the 6 beneficiary states, Adamawa, Bayelsa, Enugu, Katsina, Oyo, and Plateau, and all your team and PERM secretaries and directors. Your presence, despite the short notice invitation, is a demonstration of your unwavering commitment to the development of your states. We look forward to fruitful engagement as we journey through the implementation of the developmental milestone of this project during the next 48 months. To our implementing partners, starting with the Ministry of Education, the agencies, with whom we already have a fruitful working relation and collaboration, let us keep up the momentum to ensure that the lofty objectives of the project are achieved. Let me also avail the opportunity to thank all the technical team of the UNESCO office, the EU team, who have, and the ministry who have worked very hard to prepare this project. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you once again to this historic event, and I look forward to our fruitful deliberation. So thank you for your patience and attention.
Another round of applause for that welcome remarks by the head of UNESCO Abuja office and representative to Nigeria, Mr. Abdurrahman Diallo. While he was making his remarks, the UN resident coordinator, Dr. Mohamed Fall, came in. A warm welcome to you, sir. Please, a round of applause for him. I also want to recognize Dr. Margaret Lawani, who is representing the Executive Secretary, NERDC. Professor Junaidu. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Like the head of office just said, there is no substitute for the teacher, and teachers are the heart of education. Teachers also occupy a prime place in the program of UNESCO. And so our next speaker, Carlos Vargas Tames, is the Chief of Section for Teacher Development and Secretary to the International Task Force on Teachers. He is going to be talking to us on UNESCO's vision and program on teachers and the link between this project, which we call Expand, Integrate, and Strengthen Systems to Build Teachers' Capacities and Resilience, with the UNESCO program in general. He's joined us online. I think he's here. Yes, I see Carlos. Carlos, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues, and good morning to everybody. To excellencies in the Ministry of Education of Nigeria, the Permanent Secretary, also the Honorable Commissioners for Education of the States, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. What I wanted to share with you, it's difficult to speak after my colleague Abdul Rahman Diallo, the head of office, who has very much explained what are some of the challenges that are facing the teaching profession today. But I just wanted to probably pick up from his presentation to speak about the relevance of interventions like the one we're launching here today to expand, integrate, and strengthen systems to build teachers' capacity and resilience, and of course other projects that we're supporting of the European Union, notably the Regional Teachers Initiative for Africa. And to say that the challenge facing the profession is very large. My colleague Abdul Rahman mentioned already there is a large shortage of teachers. 44 million new teachers are needed if we want to achieve universal primary and secondary education by 2030. Of this, 15 million teachers are needed in sub-Saharan Africa. And when one looks at the issue of teacher shortages, there are at least, I mean, it's a multidimensional phenomenon, certainly, but there are at least two things to consider. One of them is that we need teachers as there is population growth, there is a growth in demand of teachers. In many countries, secondary education was made compulsorily very recently. So there is a need because of the growth of the demand, so to speak. But importantly, of these 44 million teachers that are missing, more than half of them, that means 58% to be precise, is due to the fact that teachers are leaving the profession. They're basically walking out of the classrooms and they're not coming back. So that tells us that there are issues that have to do with the working conditions of teachers, both the material conditions in terms of workloads, remuneration, materials and resources, but there's also symbolic conditions when it has to do with the trust that we confer, with the status that the profession has to be really an attractive profession. One that keeps teachers motivated in the classroom to make a difference, to improve the quality of teaching and the learning outcomes of students. But one that actually, in which teachers want to be a motor of change, where they want to be remaining in the systems. And at the same time, a profession that is attractive enough to bring new teachers into the profession. There's also a dearth of students that choose to be teachers today. So we have, I would say, a double challenge. On the one hand, of retention, and on the other one, of attraction. So it is within this framework that UNESCO's vision for education is important. I'm going to share my screen to share with you how we see the, this program actually fit within the vision of UNESCO, and also to share how this, just give me 1 second, there we go, um, and also to share with you how UNESCO is ready to support this process. First of all, I wanted to share with you what are the vision for teachers, teaching, and the teaching profession from UNESCO, some of the work that we have recently undertaken and can guide this process of capacity development of teachers and teacher resilience as pursued in the project that we're launching today. First of all, there are some guiding principles and frameworks. If we want teachers to remain in the classroom, if we want teachers to be professionalized, if we want teachers to be motivated to make a difference, to become um, partners in educational decision making, if we want them to be actively engaged in education, we need to think of teachers in a different way, not as the implementers of curriculum, but actually as knowledge producers, as reflective practitioners. So one of the guiding principles on the transformation of the teaching profession comes from the International Commission on the Futures of Education report that you might remember, Reimagining Our Futures Together, a new social contract for education, which was published in 2021, and which posits, of course, education as a global public good, as a human right, but particularly the role that teachers play in the realization of that right. And the new social contract for education with teachers at the front means reimagining and revaluing the profession. On the one hand, one profession, as we said, that is attractive, one profession that makes a difference. So this is a change in terms of paradigm of how we think of teachers as public intellectuals, as moral authorities, as shapers and molders of communities. And that requires a different way of training, of teacher education, a different way of professionalization, and a different status of the teaching profession. That, if you might recall, was also included in the recommendations of the high-level panel on the teaching profession. This, you might remember, is a high-level panel that was put together by the Secretary General of the United Nations after the Transforming Education Summit. Now, the recommendations have been published, and they include a call to transform the teaching workforce into a high status, highly qualified, well supported, properly remunerated, and highly respected profession. And the work that we do in terms of teacher policy, in terms of teaching practice, has to do with elevating this status of the profession. As my colleague mentioned, we have findings of the first ever global report on teachers that we published this year. In February 2024, we presented it in Johannesburg. Many of you were there. I'm happy to see familiar faces, which explains not only the shortage of teachers, but it delves into what are some of the root causes, the working conditions, the status, the respect. But most importantly, it looks into what are some of the solutions that countries have implemented to address the teacher shortages and to actually make the profession more attractive. So the report also guides in terms of what can be done and what is actually feasible, because it is done by different countries at the global level. And this global report on teachers will have its equivalent in Africa this year, down later in the second semester. It is ongoing work by our colleagues of ICBA, UNESCO's Institute for International Capacity Building in Africa, that we're actually supporting to launch a report on teachers and teacher shortages in Africa. So this will be able to identify promising practices to tackle teacher shortages. And this, of course, has to do with the regional priorities and targets contained in the CESA, the Continental Education Strategy for Africa of the African Union, that our colleagues in, in Dakar are producing a report on it. Our colleagues in ICBA are reviewing as well the progress towards this strategy, which is due to end next year, and whose thinking, whose assessment will probably inform the development of a new strategy going forward. Now, in UNESCO, we envision that addressing these big challenges require, on the one hand, the development of teacher policies that are comprehensive enough to include not only professional development, but all of the concomitant uh, conditions that actually enable teacher performance, teacher satisfaction, teacher well-being. So we promote comprehensive policies that include from recruitment to retention, professionalization, careers, working conditions, etc. As we know, these are elements that are all interlinked. And because we know that the working conditions of teachers are the learning conditions of students. It is that important a challenge. So how can we address the challenges we see today? What we would say is by developing a policy that is comprehensive enough, by implementing, reviewing, and monitoring the process. Secondly, by transforming teacher education and professional development. If we really want to see teaching as a collaborative profession, then the way we train our teacher needs to change. We need to transform teacher education and CPD from an individual, thematic, punctual, credit-based training sessions to a lifelong collective process of professional development led by teachers, responding to their needs, and by means of collaboration, of peer learning, of communities of practice and exchange. Now that requires a change again in the paradigm of teaching, one in which teachers actually take the lead of the professional development, because we believe that teachers actually produce knowledge that is useful for them, for their peers, for the classrooms, and ultimately for the policy level. So that transformation, I think, is at the heart of some of the objectives of the project that we are launching today. Of course, research and innovation pertaining teacher issues is also something important. What works for whom, under what conditions, what practices can actually be scaled up, etc. These are based, of course, on normative instruments. As you know, there's two recommendations that are global: the 1966 UNESCO ILO recommendation concerning the status of teachers, the 1997 recommendation of UNESCO concerning the status of higher education teaching personnel. Now, these normative instruments frame our acting. They speak of the obligations, but also the rights of teachers, and they speak of the role that they are mandated to play in educational decision making. It is very often that we have seen education reforms fail because they did not take into consideration teacher voice. So the issue of social dialogue, of participation, is something that is very important. And finally, we need to advocate for this new role, and we need to set an agenda globally, regionally, and nationally on the importance of teachers. So for that, we're supporting the European Commission for the Regional Teachers Initiative for Africa, which will run in parallel to our project in Nigeria. We're working from the Section for Teacher Development, the International Task Force on Teachers for Education 2030, and ICBA, to produce research, to produce knowledge, and to disseminate it around good practices on policy, good practices on pedagogies, good practices on teacher education. The idea of this project, and we will certainly include Nigeria in the exchanges is to enable policy learning at regional level, so that different countries, different governments, different ministries might learn from one another as to the policy solutions they are implementing to improve teacher education, professional development, and the overall status of the profession. For that, we're also developing frameworks and guidance on teacher development, including standards, including uh, frameworks for digital skills in Africa, and we're supporting the African Union to do that. Finally, the strategies between UNESCO and the EU, as I said, they converge in Nigeria. On the one hand, the UNESCO EU efforts will contribute to boost skills and teacher competencies, and ultimately ensure quality education in Nigeria and in the sub-Saharan Africa region. This by mobilizing, of course, the RTIA, the Regional Teachers Initiative, and the project that we are presenting today, Education and Youth Empowerment in Nigeria, to expand, integrate, and strengthen systems to build teachers' capacity and resilience. With that, we are hopeful that both organizations will contribute to the African Union Agenda 2063, of course, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and particularly SDG 4. So with that, I will stop sharing, and I would like to thank you very much for your attention and to reiterate the support that UNESCO is ready to provide to our colleagues in Abuja, to the different stakeholders of the project at hand. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very fruitful session and discussions today. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Dr. Carlos. Thank you so much for that very impressive and impactful presentation. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to continue from where my mentor, Dr. Mrs. Mado, my heroine, a woman that you will want to be like when you grow up. Please join me to celebrate her. Thank you very much. In our presence, or in our midst this morning, is also Dr. Leo Ebenezer, the Great. He is the head of education, Nigeria Governors Forum. Please, let's welcome him. Dr. Where are you? Okay, you're welcome. We have Dr. Mrs. Rukia Gunri. She is the SA to the Honorable Minister of Education. Please, let's celebrate her. You're welcome, ma'am. Going forward, I want to say again, welcome, bienvenue, sanu de zoa, enakwana, ekaro, nonu. I'm still trying to remember another one. If I remember, I will let you know. Thank you very much. My name is Clarice Ujam. I'm a staff of Federal Ministry of Education, and I'm very happy to be here. In my days as a teacher, one of the days, one of my students came and said something, probably what he got from a book. He said it's the statement of a wise man. He said, I am grateful to my parents for giving me life. But I am most grateful, most appreciative to my teacher for teaching me the act of living. Let's celebrate the teachers. They take over from where the parents stopped. They teach the act of living. They groom, pick a child from nowhere and groom that child to be a very important personality. And as these days, we are not looking for very important personalities, we are looking for value-adding personalities, VAP. And here we are in this hall, all of us, value-adding personalities. For you to have left what you're doing somewhere else to be here is because you want to add value to the teacher and to the teaching profession. Thank you very much for coming. Next on the item is goodwill messages. And we will invite the benefiting states, the beneficiaries, to give us goodwill message. But before then, I forgot that greeting I was trying to remember is Akwaba. Akwaba, because we have our friend from Ghana that is here. So Dr. Christian Akwaba. So please join me to welcome the representative of the commissioner from Adamawa State. The commissioner is Dr. Okay, he is here. All right. So please, let's welcome the commissioner from Adamawa State, Dr. Omar Garba Pella.
Wow. You know, for those of us who are vertically endowed, I'm a poor student of protocol. Honorable Minister, ably represented by our own Folake Olatoje Davis. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you greetings from Adamawa State. And my task is to give a goodwill. I don't know whether what I will do will be good enough. But it's really good that we are meeting today on an issue that is as burning as the issue of teachers. There is recently a very big hype on the issue of out-of-school children. Nigeria shares one of the largest burden of that slice globally. In Nigeria, northern Nigeria shares the largest burden. Perhaps in northern Nigeria, my own zone, the northeast, shares partly. But I used to tell people every time I have an opportunity to speak like this, that besides out-of-school children is the menace of out-of-school teachers. Here in this world, there are many out-of-school teachers. Most of us are out-of-school teachers. Because, to be honest, if you are reflective, if you look at yourself, you realize that most of us can do better as teachers than any other thing we're doing now. Perhaps we are attracted to go to all those places because perhaps the reward system in teaching is not encouraging. So the attraction that we're talking about is not there, and that is why most of us left the teaching. Some of us left. There are many out-of-school teachers in the banks, many out-of-school teachers at the National Assembly, many out-of-school teachers in government, many out-of-school teachers even in the works of international NGOs and partners. Most of us would have been better as teachers in the classroom than doing what we are doing. So now that we have taken this decision, the reality is that you cannot keep the children in classroom, you cannot keep the children in school if you don't have good teachers that can make the environment busy, attractive, and rewarding. So you need to have, perhaps where we started getting the out-of-school, if we must be able to get all the children back to school and retained in school, we must be able to have good teachers that are motivated to remain in the classroom. So we must provide the link between good teaching and good studentship. this is where we are. And we must be able to do that if we make it a global agenda. All of us must agree, from the partners to the government at the national level to the government at the subnational level. We must be able to have a consensus on this and move on. So I can see us standing. When a teacher holds a mic, maybe we should continue this discussion and do it at a very larger scale. Meanwhile, I want to conclude by saying that Adamawa State is committed to this, and we are looking forward to meeting with every stakeholder in this space to ensure that we improve it. Thank you.
Please, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much. The time allotted to us for this goodwill message is just less than 15 minutes. So we are giving to each person maybe 1 minute each, so please, 1 minute to, after the opening ceremony, there's going to be technical session. So during technical session, we have time to discuss comprehensively all that you will want us to discuss. So please join me to welcome the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Bayelsa State. He is Mr. Okene. A round of applause for him as he comes.
Good morning to all of us. Please permit me to stand on the already established protocol. And like the moderator said, I have just 1 minute. So while I want to join what my boss in Adamawa just said, I would want to add a few things to what he said. First and foremost, we are very grateful to EU, UNESCO, and the Federal Ministry of Education for finding Bayelsa State worthy to be one of the beneficiaries of this program. We are very grateful. And in doing that, I want to call attention to particular areas. When I looked at the program, the areas that impressed me is the issue of expansion, integration, and strengthening. If you go around the states, you find that states have their peculiar challenges. In my state, we need to strengthen the capacity of the teachers in the rural areas. Because my state is shared into two almost equal. In fact, majority of the schools are in riverine communities. And you can agree with me that if we want to strengthen the system, those working in those remote areas need special attention. While they will work as teachers, the scope of their work, the challenges they face is more. So I want us to factor into those areas as we look into this program. I'm sure there are other states that have similar geographical issues like my state, Lagos State, Rivers, Ondo, may have similar problems. I want to thank you for picking us. My commissioner will have been here. He had an appointment with the governor yesterday. By the time he finished, he missed his flight. And to get another flight became an issue. There's no flight today, so he couldn't come. So he sent his greetings, and he said I should thank the organizers of this program and the funding partners. The state is grateful. We are willing and committed to whatever area that the state will be required to key in. Thank you for calling us, and I wish us a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
A round of applause for him. Thank you. From the #1 state in Nigeria. Yes. From the #1 state in Nigeria, the coal city, comes Mr. Ochi. He is the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Enugu State. Please, if you don't celebrate him, I will end this program. A round of applause for him.
Let me stand on the existing protocol for want of time. I thank immensely the Federal Ministry of Education, European Union, and UNESCO for considering Enugu State what it will benefit in this launching. UNESCO, as you well known, has good and excellent programs for humanity. Its programs cut across pre-war times, war times, and post-war times. It promotes knowledge sharing and free flow of ideas that accelerate mutual understanding and more perfect and robust knowledge among states and countries. It contributes to achievement of sustainable development goals defined in the 2030 agenda and adopted by the United Nations General Assembly of 2015. Its programs are enormous and exhaustible. This is why Enugu State will also key into UNESCO in toto. As you are well aware, Enugu State, led by the governor of Enugu State, is constructing 260 smart schools in Enugu State. He has already completed 10, and the rest are ongoing. For what he wants to do there is experiential learning and pedagogy, teaching by, learning by doing, so that every Enugu State indigene will key into the robust knowledge and ideas, so that at the end, the prosperity will remember him. And in that school, it has 24 hours light, 24 hours water, laptop for every student, 1 meal per day for each student, free textbooks, free exercise books, and free uniform. I thank UNESCO for this program. Enugu State will not relent in carrying these programs to the grassroots. Bravo, bravo, bravo.
With all these credentials read out for Enugu State, I don't see the reason why they shouldn't be the best state during World Teachers' Day. They must be. Prof, they must be. Please, a round of applause for Enugu State. Thank you. Please, let's welcome the Commissioner for Education, Katsina State, Honorable Zainab Musawa. Please, a round of applause for this beautiful, elegant, brand new commissioner. A round of applause for her again.
Esteemed guests, esteemed colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to stand on existing protocol. It is with so much joy and honor that I represent my state. This is my first outing, and to launch the EU UNESCO project, Education and Youth Empowerment in Nigeria. This project represents a significant step forward in our collective efforts to expand and integrate and strengthen the system in building teacher capacity and resilience. I'm sorry, I would not stay longer than Mr. Diallo, but I'm a public speaker. As someone who has recently transitioned from Ministry of Women Affairs to the Ministry of Education, I'm particularly inspired by aligning this project with our national and global educational goals. By focusing on enhancing teacher resilience and capacity, we are not only investing in our educators, but also in the future of our children and our nation. In Katsina State, we have seen remarkable strides in education under the leadership of our esteemed Governor Malandiko Umar Radda. And recent overview of the report in Katsina State education system indicates the state has about 38,000 teachers, which represent about 1 to 60 ratio of students. As we know, this is way above the stipulated policy benchmark. We must appreciate the current administration's effort in recent recruitment of about 7,200 teachers in an effort to fill the void in the national, so we can achieve the national policy of 1 to 40 ratio. The state governor is currently building a lot, investing in training teachers, and this program is gonna bridge the gap, the difference. We are currently training about 10,000 teachers, and with the coming of this program, I'm sure is going to be able to fill the void in training about 28,000 additional teachers. Teachers are the essence and foundation of our educational system. The ability to adopt, innovate, and thrive in challenging environments is crucial. This project, with its commitments to developing comprehensive teacher education, programs and policies would undoubtedly contribute to improve student attainment in Katsina State and overall Nigerian human development. I would like to commend UNESCO and the European Union and all partners involved in this initiative for a dedication and vision. Together we are laying a strong foundation for a brighter future where every child has access to quality education and every teacher is empowered to make a lasting impact. Thank you for your continued support and collaboration. And I would like to assure you finally that Katsina State will pilot this project, and we are willing to help UNESCO implement this project in the 6 additional northwestern states in case you intend to expand the project in the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner. Please let's invite Professor Adelabu from Oyo State. Please put your hands together for... You're welcome, sir.
Honorable Commissioner, Federal Ministry of Education, Professor Tahir Mama, who is ably represented by the Director, Basic Education, Federal Ministry of Education, and other protocols are duly observed. I bring fraternal greetings from my Executive Governor, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State. The opportunity given to us in Oyo State is not taken for granted. It's just in line with our roadmap for sustainable development in education in the state. As I'm telling you, we are having close to 30,000 teachers in our basic schools, and currently we are recruiting more 7,000 teachers. Our recruitment policy is via computer-based examination. So the opportunity given to us in Oyo State is not taken for granted. I've taken my time to study this second phase. I saw expansion, I saw integration, I saw system strengthening, and we have been partnering with all the development partners. I'm happy to welcome our president from Ghana, from Calabar. After, we are working together, and we are looking forward to join them in Angola. Unfortunately, we are unable to make Lusaka. And coming back to my friend from Adamawa, he's talking of, he started from out of school children up to out of teacher. I think I'm the #1 teacher in Oyo State because that is my constituency. I've been a teacher, primary school, secondary school, university system, before going back to my state to lead education industry. So I'm the #1 teacher in my own state. And we have been encouraging people that have passion, that have zeal, because we feel being a teacher, you must be born and certificated, not only just going enrolling to become a teacher. If you are born and certificated, most of these problems, you are likely to bring them out of it. So we are going to study the framework. We are taking UNESCO for what UNESCO is when it comes to education family. They have done a lot of job in the past. You look at teacher pupils ratio, you look at teacher classroom ratio, and for us to get there, the main driver, professional driver, to drive educational development is no other person by the teacher. So I bring sincere greetings. When we were nominated as one of the 6 beneficiaries, I had a frantic discussion with my governor, and he gave us all the full support. So in the Southwest, be rest assured that we are in it together, we are going to drive it together, and we'll get to the greatest height. Once again, thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much. Prof, I wanted to say something about Oyo State, but Prof took it up from me, so he just shut me up. Thank you. A round of applause for the commissioner. Please, let's welcome from Plateau State, the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Honorable Mohammed Nyalon. A round of applause for him.
The representative of the minister, for want of time, I want to lean on the existing protocol. My colleague from Adamawa State was talking of Art of Children School. You also mentioned Art of Teachers, Art of Schools, Children's School. In Plateau State, it may interest you to know that we have domesticated the additional 5 years for teachers, and that is yielding a lot of good results for us. Basically, what we are facing generally, I don't know, it should be nationally, is the attitude of teachers. The teachers of yesteryears are the ones that we can count as good teachers. But today's teachers will have problem of attitude. And that is why, if you go to our state in Plateau State, we are using those teachers that have retired, and that we have given them additional 5 years, and what they are doing basically is mentoring. They are mentoring these teachers, teaching them the art of lesson preparation, teaching them generally the art of good scheme of work and other things that make a good teacher. And so therefore, we want to say that we will key into this project, we will not take it for granted, and we'll make sure that all the necessary things that we are supposed to do as a state, we implement. And as we embark on this second phase of our goal is to expand these efforts, integrate innovative approach, and strengthen our systems to ensure sustainable development. The EU-UNESCO partnership will be very instrumental in driving this initiative. Their support and collaboration will enable us to make significant progress. I would therefore like to express my profound gratitude to the European Union and UNESCO for their unwavering commitment to education and youth empowerment in Nigeria. This will go a long way in transforming the lives of countless children and also shaping them for the future ahead. And so therefore, let us all reaffirm our commitment to education and youth employment. Let us work together to expand, integrate, and strengthen our educational system. By doing so, we can build a brighter and more prosperous future for our children in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, let's give him another round of applause. The next goodwill messenger. I said goodwill messenger. I met him, we met some weeks back, some months back in Zambia. So when I passed by, I greeted, and he said, I know you're from Nigeria. I told him, I said, how do you know that I'm from Nigeria? He said, Nigerian women are beautiful. They dress gorgeously. They are elegant, and he started pouring acronym on Nigerian women. Today he is in Nigeria, all the way from Ghana. Please join me to welcome Dr. Christian Adai Poku. Dr. Poku is the Registrar Chief Executive, Ghana National Teaching Council. He's also the Secretary General, African Federation for Teaching Regulatory Authority. I know you can see a lot of beautiful Nigerian women here. Please, let's celebrate him.
Thank you very much, Clarice. Let me first acknowledge Mr. Diallo. He has been a good friend. We've been working together in Ghana for about 4 years. He didn't tell me he was coming to Nigeria. He told me he was leaving. So this morning, the moment I got here, I met him, and I'm so excited because he really contributed to teachers in Ghana. We have what we call Ghana Teacher Prize, and every year he made sure that UNESCO was sponsoring this program. Let's put it together for him. All protocols duly observed. Let me also appreciate the President of Africa Federation of Teacher Regulatory Authorities, Professor Ajiboye, for the opportunity given me to be here today. Prof, I appreciate you. And Professor Steve has just stepped out. He is also our Executive Director. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes when I mount the podium like this, I just get confused whether I'm still a union leader or I'm a regulator. Because when it comes to teacher issues, I'm always passionate about it. We've spoken a lot about teachers here, all because we know that education can change anything. And if education can change anything, what about the people who delivered that education? Can we imagine what they can change? We can change a lot. I have heard about classrooms that are empty. UNESCO statistics are credible. But my point is it that we don't produce the teachers in Ghana and in Nigeria? We do. We have more than produced them. The point is retention of these teachers. If they have to cross rivers to go and teach, what kind of motivation do we give them? How do we valorize them? How do we respect them so that they will sacrifice and stay? Those are the things that we look at from the regulatory point of view. As you try to professionalize teaching and make sure that teachers live up to the professional code and standards, we as employers, we as a people, must also ensure that the teacher is well respected. The teacher is given the right tools. The teacher is given the right environment to deliver quality education. If we don't do that, then we are failing as a people. Recently, when Ghana was changing their curriculum, we decided to do stakeholder engagement. And we moved from sector to sector, trying to find out what they think about education and what they want to see put in the curriculum. Anywhere you go, people will tell you, go to electricity company, they'll tell you, people are not, our education system has failed to teach people how to use electricity efficiently. And so they have to put it in the curriculum. You go to water, they tell you people have failed to use water efficiently. We have to put it in the curriculum. You go to road safety, you go to fire service, everybody is telling you, put their issues in the curriculum. Meanwhile, the curriculum is so small. It tells us that anything that we're doing, we can't take education out. Of all the 17 global goals, if you take education out, you cannot achieve them. So for me, I feel so excited. I don't want to talk too much because the strong woman is standing here looking at me. I always want to say that teachers are so important. If we want to empower the youth, it starts with a good teacher. If you get a good teacher, you get a good education, and the youth will be well empowered. If you want to get 21st century children who will be empowered with 21st century skills of creativity, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and digital competence, among others, then you need a teacher who is well versed in this. And that is what we must invest in. And that is why, for me, it's also important that we look at the pre-service level of teaching, how we bring out our teachers. Recently, the United Kingdom gave exemption to Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, and Zimbabwe teachers to go to these countries to teach without going through the rigor of acquiring qualified teacher status. Why? Because we produce the quality here. What we lack is our ability to retain them. And that is the conversation we should have. I believe that this forum will come out with actionable decisions that will help empower the teacher to do the work that they do well. For us at Africa Teacher Regulatory Authorities, AFRA, we bring together all the teacher regulatory bodies across Africa. And we advocate professionalism for teachers. And so I'm so excited, Prof, once again, to be called to be here today. I'm going to learn a lot, and I'm going to implement them in Ghana. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Dr. Christian. Thank you. Before we call the next presenter, we also want to thank UNESCO for what you are doing. Few days ago, another arm of UNESCO was here for a national conference on teachers. Thanks to UNESCO IGBA, Dr. Wooden and his team. So UNESCO is actually doing a lot in that aspect of T in our DOT. Just like Dr. Diallo said, we have data repository, out of school children, teacher education, skill development, acquisition, and digitalization as the agenda for the Federal Ministry of Education. And UNESCO, we hail UNESCO for partnering with the Federal Ministry of Education in the area of teacher education. Please, thank you, do not stop. Thank you very, very much. It is my pleasure to invite Liela Ben Amo for her presentation. Please, a round of applause for her. Please do it better. Do it better. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit fuzzy. I have a bronchitis, but I'll try to manage. I like to beg your indulgence because I'm also collapsing two speeches into one for both EU representatives. So please let me start. The Honorable Minister of Education, Prof. Tahir Maman, ably represented by Dr. Folake, Director of Basic Education, the Resident Coordinator of the United Nations, Dr. Mohamed Fall, Honorable Commissioners of all 6 focus states, the Country Director for UNESCO, Abdulrahman Diallo, all protocol being observed. On behalf of the Ambassador of the European Union to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Mrs. Samuela Isopi, I would like to thank you again for being with us today. This second phase of our education program called Expand, Integrate, and Strengthen Systems is to build teachers' capacity and resilience, focuses on teachers' education, as other speakers have mentioned. It is funded under our Global Gateway Strategy, which is the European Union strategy to boost smart, clean, secure connections in digital, energy, and transport sectors, and to strengthen health, education, and research systems across the world. Our commitment to the Global Gateway Strategy signifies our belief that education is not merely a sector. It is the foundation for resilience, innovation, and inclusive growth. Indeed, as we all know, education is a cornerstone of any society's progress. It is through education that we empower individuals, enrich and uplift communities, drive economic and social progress, and lay the foundation for a prosperous common future. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the first phase of our education program was launched last year. It aimed at providing quality education and skills development with a particular focus on out-of-school children and girls in rural and underserved areas. It was designed to support government at the federal level, as well as in 3 states, Jigawa, Kano, and Sokoto, through strengthening the mechanism for education planning and implementation, amongst other objectives. This is the second phase of the program, and this second phase is to build teachers' capacities by developing and expanding teachers' education program focused on strengthening teacher resilience for challenging job demands in fragile contexts. It complements our €100 million continental program on teachers' education that was mentioned by the director for UNESCO in Paris, which we deploy together with the African Union. It is also complementary to our support to the GPE, Global Partnerships for Education program in Nigeria, which is $127 million, and which also focuses on capacity building for teachers. I'm pleased to note that all those programs are well aligned with the needs of the Nigerian education sector, and especially with the newly approved DOTS policy of the government, DOTS for data repository, out-of-school children, education, teacher training, development, and skills development and acquisition. I think I've got it. So, why focus on teachers? Because teachers are the bedrock of education. They are the ones that inspire, nurture, guide our future generations. Investing in teachers is investing in our collective future. All over the world, they play an essential role in shaping the minds and hearts of the next generation. However, in many, many countries, and in Nigeria in particular, teachers face numerous challenges, ranging from insufficient resources to the pressure of adapting to rapidly changing education and environments. We all know that because most of us here in this room have been teachers. Recognizing these challenges, the European Union has identified with government the critical need to support Nigerian teachers in their professional development and personal resilience. By empowering teachers, we are not only enhancing the quality of education, but also ensuring that students receive the guidance and support they need to succeed in an ever-changing world. More specifically, this initiative will fund the development and review of education policies and career paths for the teaching profession in Nigeria. It will also ensure that teachers' capacity and resilience are enhanced through pre-service and in-service teachers' education program, as well as strengthen teacher-student collaboration and learning teams at school and community levels. These programs' implementation has been entrusted to our dear partner, UNESCO. The program will work closely with teachers training colleges from across the 6 states that have been selected with government: Adamawa, Bayelsa, Enugu, Katsina, Plateau, and Oyo. And they will reach out then to a wider pool of teachers. Dear all, our partnership with Nigeria in this endeavor is a testament to the strong bonds between the European Union and Nigeria. It is a partnership built on mutual respect, shared values, and a common vision for a better future. We are committed to support Nigeria's educational goals and help foster a brighter, more resilient future for all. Together, we can build a robust educational foundation that will benefit generations to come. Finally, this initiative would not have been possible without the collaborative efforts of all the stakeholders. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Nigerian federal and state ministries of education and their agencies, to the local government authorities, and to all our partners who have worked tirelessly to bring this project to life. Your dedication and passion for education is truly inspiring. In conclusion, let me reiterate one last time our commitment to this essential cause. Education is a powerful tool for change, And by investing in teachers, we are investing in the architects of that change. Thank you very much for your attention.
Please, another round of applause for her. Lila Ben Amor is the head of Human Development, European Union Delegation in Nigeria and ECOWAS. Please, let's celebrate European Union. They're actually the funders of this program. And ma'am, I have the authority on behalf of Federal Ministry of Education to thank EU for this laudable support. We are most grateful to you. And just like you read out about 6 states that are beneficiaries of this project, you know, in our local palace, when you thank someone for what he has done, he will do greater. We are 37 states, 36 plus FCT, making 37, and we will want a step down. So we thank EU in our various languages. In Igbo, we say, Dalo, means thank you. In Hausa, we say, Nagode, it means thank you. In Yoruba, we say, Esheo, Eshego, thank you. Because we associate with Mr. Diallo, he taught us how to speak in French. Merci beaucoup. And we also have association with the Germans, and they taught us to say Dankeschön and gracias. A round of applause for EU, the sponsors of this program. We appreciate all that you're doing, and we expect more from you. Thank you so much, EU. Next is an address from Mr. Mohammed Fall. He is the UN Resident Coordinator. Mr. Fall. When Mr. Fall gets to the stage, I will stand close to him so that we'll know who is taller among the two of us. Permission to stand close to you.
Now we will leave people
Please.
to take over.
Yes. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me just get this one right. I was expecting that the podium will be a bit wider. If you can just help me with this. To the Minister of Education, I'm ably represented by the Director of Basic Education, to the Commissioner, the Permanent Secretary, the representative of all the 6 states gathered here, to our partner, the European Union, which is accompanying us in this project, but not only in this project, in all the development agenda front here in Nigeria. To the gentlemen and ladies of the press, to all our distinguished guests, allow me to stand on the existing protocol. Let me just say that it's a great pleasure for me to stand here and to be part of this launch of the project Education and Youth Empowerment in Nigeria Phase 2, Expand, Integrate, and Strengthen System to Build Teachers' Capacity and a Resilience Project. Let me stop and thank my colleague from UNESCO for the leadership here, but as I said earlier, also EU and the government partner for the hard work that have led us here. This is not only an important initiative, but it is also a timely initiative. As we know, the world now is grappling with the acceleration towards 2020-30, which is the time set for the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goal. And the teachers are so central to the achievement of the goal number 4, which say ensure education and quality of education and promote lifelong learning for all. Teachers nurture, teachers inspire, and they transform also life. One crucial step toward the goal of quality of education for all is getting enough teachers into the classroom. World leaders at the Transforming Education Summit held in September 2022, in their national statement of commitment, acknowledged the central role of teachers, educators, and other teaching personnel. However, if we look at the world today, we face challenge of inadequately trained teachers in our schools. The UNESCO report in 2021 showed that in sub-Saharan Africa, we are facing the biggest challenge, with the lowest percentage of trained teachers in primary and post-primary education. According to the Sustainable Development Goal Report 2024, recently launched by the UN Secretary General, progress toward the goal 4 has been slowed since 2015, with only 58% of the students worldwide achieving the minimum proficiency in reading. Recent assessment revealed a significant decline in math and reading score in many countries, highlighting a set of factors beyond the COVID-19 pandemic impact on the global education system. Many countries face challenges as inadequate infrastructure, teacher shortage, and insufficiency of teacher training. While technology has expanded educational opportunity, it has also widened the gaps in terms of inequality, leaving millions of people, especially in the marginalized and low-income community, without access to education. This is why it is very timely for us to launch a project of this nature, which will empower teachers in the selected state in Nigeria. Following the SDG summit held last year, we have decided to focus here in Nigeria in 6 transitions to enable to accelerate progress toward achieving the SDG. These are education, food system, job and social protection, digital transformation, energy access, and energy access. It gives me an opportunity to say here that in these 6 transitions, the most important one is the one related to education. Because as someone said earlier, this is the one that will have ripple effect across the 17 goals that are in the Agenda 2026. I cannot conclude this address without giving due recognition to the government of Nigeria for the firm resolve to make progress with the SDG despite the many challenges faced by the country. Thank you to the director who represents the Honorable Minister here, and please convey our thanks for his leadership, which I have no doubt will broad and bear fruit in the success of this project. Let me also appreciate the government of the 6 focus states, Adamawa, Bayelsa, Enugu, Katsina, Oyo, and Plateau, who I am told welcome this project with enthusiasm and have demonstrated willingness to support the successful implementation of this project in their goodwill message. Indeed, with a good leadership, we can achieve more. I will end this charge from a UN Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, daughter of this soil, who say that in the grim reality that only 17% of the SDG are on track, with just 6 years to go for the year 2030 deadline. She said, and I quote, "Be leader for your people and the planet. Be leader that inspire and do the right thing." As a leader also, let us do the right thing and leave no one behind in this endeavor. I thank you for your attention and wish you a great success for your deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause again. Thank you, sir. So I like your speech, but the one I love most is when you pronounce Adamawa. The way you pronounce Adamawa, it sounded so sweet. So as commissioner from Adamawa State, I think we will not be calling Adamawa, Adamawa. Thank you. Thank you so much. So the next on our agenda is a man that in his DNA runs education. He sleeps education, he wakes up education, he sits education, he eats education, he thinks education. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that is the Teacher General, the headmaster of all the headmasters and all the head teachers, the Honorable Minister of Education, Honorable Minister of Education, Federal Ministry of Education, and the whole leader of the education sector. Please join me to welcome Professor Tahir Maman, S-A-N-O-O-N, ably represented by a dynamic woman, Dr. Folake Olatunji David, who is also the face of Nigeria in GPE. A round of applause to celebrate this woman. Thank you, Dr. Ujam. The honorable commissioners from the 6 beneficiary states of this project, the UN resident coordinator, Mr. Mohamed Fall, the head of human development, EU delegation in Nigeria and ECOWAS, Ms. Leila Matthews Benamo, head of UNESCO Abuja office, Mr. Diallo, the directors from the Federal Ministry of Education, my colleagues, the heads of FME agencies here present, the AFTRA global executives led by our own Professor Ajiboye and our Ghanaian brother, distinguished members of this meeting, distinguished members of the press, good morning. It's now afternoon. Good afternoon. I bring you the great regards of the Honorable Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, O-N-S-A-N, who would have loved to be here, but is on another very important national assignment. And he has asked me to read his speech, so I'm just doing that. It's the speech I'm reading. So it is his speech, but just my voice. So any error, I take it. But everything perfect belongs to him. So it is with profound honor and humility that I welcome you all to the launch of the second phase of the EU UNESCO project, Education and Youth Empowerment in Nigeria. Expand, integrate, and strengthen systems, EISS, to build teachers' capacity and resilience. This partnership between the Federal Ministry of Education, the European Union delegation in Nigeria, and the UNESCO Abuja office represents a significant milestone in our collective efforts to transform the educational landscape in Nigeria. We appreciate the funding support from the EU, the technical support of UNESCO, and the commitment of all the state governments that are involved. We all know that education is a cornerstone of national development, and it is only through a well-structured and resilient education system that we can achieve sustainable growth. The objective of this project is clear. It is to improve student attainment and contribute to Nigeria's human development by increasing the number of qualified and resilient teachers in Nigeria. This aligns perfectly with Agenda 2063 and Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. 2063 is the African agenda, particularly the Sustainable Development Goals related to education. And of course, it resonates properly with the renewed hope agenda of this present administration, our own ministerial deliverables, and especially the DOTS policy, the recently approved DOTS policy by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as propounded by our own honorable ministers. We understand the challenges our teachers face, especially in fragile and demanding environments such as ours. This project will provide them with the tools and support that they need to excel. By strengthening our teachers and the teacher education programs and implementing robust teacher policies, we can ensure that our teachers are well prepared. They are adequately recruited, properly deployed, and managed. The 6 states that are benefiting from the program, Adamawa, like our MC said we should call them, Bayelsa, Enugu, Katsina, Oyo, and Plateau states will be the primary focus at this phase. We hope we'll be able to scale up to other states in Nigeria. Our goal is to create models of excellence that can be replicated across the country, ultimately benefiting the entire education system. Today, as we embark on this second phase on this journey with renewed vigor, we are aiming to create an educational system that is not only resilient, but also inclusive and equitable. We are committed to working tirelessly, and I'm speaking we are on behalf of even the state government, the selected states, and the entire education family in Nigeria. We are committed to working tirelessly to achieve these goals and to ensure that every child in Nigeria has access to quality education. We do not intend to leave any child behind. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our partners, the European Union and UNESCO. We are grateful for the continued support you provide to us in the sector and in Nigeria. You are valuable members of the National Education Group, and you've been supporting the country in various ways. Your collaboration has been instrumental in driving this project forward and achieving our shared vision of a robust and inclusive teacher education system. Together, we will make significant strides to a brighter future for Nigerian children. So on this note, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor and privilege to declare this meeting open. Thank you very much for your attention.
Another round of applause to Dr. Folake Olatunji David, ably representing the Honorable Minister of Education. I want to say until last evening, I think the Honorable Minister still felt he would be here, but they got a call from the villa and he had to be away. This project is dear to his heart. In fact, he chose this day. So thank you for extending his warm greetings to us, and tell him also that we are behind him in ensuring that teachers' capacities get strengthened, and the T in the dots, we actually will achieve the goals. Thank you very much. We are going to have a significant unveiling to launch this project. So I will invite the Honorable Minister here represented, our EU, the donor. Please, a round of applause to EU. Without them, we will not be here. And I don't know if you have this with you, you have all the information. This also has been produced by the EU delegation. Please come forward. The UN Resident Coordinator, Mr. Fall, please. The UNESCO Head of Office, please come forward. The 6 commissioners of the 6 beneficiary states, please. We'll stand. We are going to unveil this. So let's stand here. This is what you are going to unveil. Yes, stand down here. Yes. Thank you. The permanent representative, permanent secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, who is also our focal person for this project, Dr. Uba. She's the director of colleges of education. Can we have Professor Ajiboye representing AFTRA, please, and one representative of NUT? Yes, please. We'll do the unveiling. The representative of the Honorable Minister, and then the EU and UNESCO, our RC, all of them supporting. Can we have a microphone so there is a declaration, please? A microphone?
So on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, OON, SAN,